Well, hello everyone. That's like you're talking about math uses say words you'll remember is talking about is like if most of us were to ever think about is like whenever you're in school that you think about is like knowing about that if you think that maybe $1 or $2 or maybe 50 cents would be think about is like knowing about it's like well, how much money you would like to be paid so far as what you call is like for that certain allowance it is. But on the other hand too to talk about with words to remember is talking about with me is my opinions about it's like with most of us if we're familiar with like what you call is like if we were to say do the math right if you were to have a checking or savings or any type of savings bonds it is knowing about a spending card kind of like this not really a gift card but the money that's on there maybe like a credit card is like for words to remember is to know it's like knowing about between a gift card and a credit card it is and then of course with a debit card is like money that's on there but then of course after you spend it then you got to work with it's like knowing about how to put it back in there how to pay it back etc., etc. But then, of course, this right here was like here's the reminder knowing about is like yeah, the type of homework that that we could be doing, while if we were to go out and spending, and of course, how it's handled. And in a lot of ways, the way I think about with between a debit card and a credit card, it is like for words to remember, is it to know that yeah that's like that with the fact about with the credit card it is that that a lot of times it took me about at least maybe 2 or 3 years to kind of get used to it, and then knowing about that I only use my credit card maybe every once in a while. But with most, it's like with most, say if it's credit card companies, with most people, it's like if you were to have a credit card, is a no, is like for words to, or the words as a remember, is that you would think about is like that the money that's on there between the transactions and how it was completed is that know about that if you were using like any other type of service. A lot of people will probably think about it's like you have Mr. Rex right here is knowing about like I mean like talking about is like with the bills. With the bills is knowing about whenever we're young that we would maybe have a toy kind of like this right here. It's like with like what's that, Mr. Rex? But other than that, it's like what's that, Mr. Rex? But other than that, you have right here is like with the dinosaur right here, and with the dinosaur as knowing like that like be whispering something into my ear. It is. But other than that, is knowing about is like yeah that with the dinosaur here and knowing like in it's like knowing about like what they eat. It's like they don't eat wood or anything like that. Like be stomping around like boom 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 boom. But other than that, it's like rah 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 rah. But other than that this kind of reminds me of the whenever I was in school. It is that the knowing about that whenever I was in school that we did like what you call a school activity to where it's like knowing about what dinosaur was named this and what the types of dinosaur names it is talking about. It's like what do you call a dinosaur that walks like this and then of course that that has teeth it's like sharp it is and then knowing about like yeah with the dinosaur it's like has a tail it's like has a tail kind of like this but didn't know it about with most of the time that we buy toys, kind of like this, and with most of the time you could probably think about that, normally they cost about between $2 and $3. It is, just to get one of these, toys. It is, and then knowing about if it has bendable arms, and it has bendable legs, and of course how well it's made. It is. And on the other hand, too, that you could probably think about is like, yeah, that whenever the bills start getting out of hand, I'm trying to say for a word to remember is like whenever they start getting out of hand, that's whenever like but other than that is knowing about whenever it starts getting out of control, which most of the time what we probably think about is that what I can maybe recommend for anybody is a no. It's like maybe schedule it a time to where if you're going to have a say any type of if it's an account, checking account or savings account, and we probably think about is that knowing about for whatever deposits and whatever transactions that comes through. And I'm probably familiar with a few other you'd say with most of us here, you could probably think about it's like, with PayPal, and of course with maybe Green Dot, or any type of account it is that, especially with people who don't know too much about computers, is to know that the basic stuff about what to remember about. It's like if you were to be managing your finances online, it is, as I say, for words to remember is to know. It's like that, they say is that to know about that, yeah, by the time you get logged on, is to know about how much is owed, and of course about managing the finances from there. But we could probably think about is that, with most of the time with a credit card and a debit card, is we could probably think about that, that with the debit card and then the credit card is like that you would need to remember is like run it through as debit, and of course run it through as credit, and if you have enough money on there. And a lot of times that I probably think about with maybe with a few people or some people, is to know that, that if the money is not on there and then you thought it was on there, then for whatever reason there was a transaction that was complete, but then it was invalid. It's like when, so far as the policy goes about what's on the card, it is. And so far as words to remember about that is to know is that you at least check it every once in a while, and just knowing about. What I usually do is I do like I say a money transfer is like to go ahead and transfer. We say maybe $10. Do like a mathematical. It's like if you can remember about what your allowance usually was back then. It's like maybe 10 cents for this and maybe $10 for that. But on the other hand too, that knowing about is like, yeah, it's like for 10 tries it is. For 10 tries is knowing about like what T-Rex right here. I mean, Mr. Rex is like, like, other than that, like this, like, I feel good, and I know not one. But other than that, you say right here with T-Rex is knowing about that, yeah, it goes by saying is like that, I is like with the T-Rex is like what do you call the T-Rex? It's like knowing about. It's like like me wondering, me running through the forest and knowing about. It's like I'm going to go out inside today and going to see what I can find today, and knowing about that. With the T-Rex is no, what am I going to find? Am I going to find what you call an interesting plant? Or am I going to find, would you say, maybe some interesting stars, or will you go and look down and find out, that there's a river going by? It is a river going by. Then look over to my left, or say to my right. It is, and knowing about you got a tree right here, and then of course, yeah, right here is knowing about is like knowing about the numbers. Say from your mind is like knowing about that. Yeah, I had to kind of use this kind of thing. But the more likely this book, I say I use this as an example of knowing about the type of toys that more likely that the things that whenever I was young that that I would be buying. Of course, if I were to spend any type of money, then this would be kind of maybe you would say is a good example besides the remote control car. It is of more likely what I would probably buy with with about maybe $2 or $3 in range. It is, of course, there's other places it's like maybe it's like the museums or whatever you call it that cost money just to get in, and of course with the snack bars and stuff like that. But we ought to just know that about with money is that the things that you would need to remember about managing your money, is just knowing about the fact that, yeah, that respecting is like rights, is knowing about like this is your land and this is my land. But other than that, it's talking about that, yeah, between like with the dinosaurs, is knowing about this, like that this is your land and this is my land. Like your land cannot defeat my land. But anyway, talk about with Mr. Rex here. Like you need to understand something. I'm gonna point the finger. I'm gonna point the finger at Mr. Rex right here because is like that the fact about that. Yeah, that they did some studies about him whenever I was in school. Of course, is to know is like with Mr. Rex is knowing about like where is my money going to, huh? Like I'm not, I'm really, it's like spending, it's like knowing about, it's like really, do I feel kind of, whenever I'm there, like, you need to understand, okay, Mr. Rex, okay, like, and you cost me $3, okay, you can, like, I tell you what, like, Well, I don't want to make you angry, but you cost me $3, okay? And to know that I really never found out, it's like, what is your favorite snack, okay? What is your favorite snack? Like, but other than that, it's talking about, you want to know what my favorite snack is? It's knowing about, it's like knowing about, they talk about, it's like, you're really knowing about, what is half of a quarter of a candy bar. But other than that, knowing about, it's like what kind of candy bar? Maybe a Snickers. But other than that, it's like talking about right here. It's like what you call it. It's like so far as say is in words to remember. It's talking about. It's like talk so far as remembering the basic things about being like knowing responsible about knowing about. It's like with the base so far as what part about what does really paying your dues mean. Other than that, it's talking about right here. It's talking about it's like for words to remember.